All right, guys, Math 1700. This is the final video on mathematics of finances. Some of these problems are going to be a little challenging, make you think a little bit. That's cool. It's going to be, potentially some of this stuff too will be on your final exam. I will, I guess next week or the next video, we'll start talking about the final exam. So. It's getting close. Okay, so anyway, let's work through this and see if we can get through this as quickly as possible. So the Malones purchased a new car for $32,000, which should be a pretty good car, which they would pay off by making monthly payments for 6 years or 72 months. They negotiated an annual interest rate of 6.2%. What is their monthly payment? Okay, guys, y'all should be excellent at this. You should be pros. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to regroup here. I think I want to do the split screen on this. Okay. So what is their monthly payment? So let's make it happen. So we have 72. Now you can think of that this, it's 12 payments per year for 6 years. If that kind of stuff does it for you. 6.2. They've borrowed money on a $32,000 car. Just eyeball down at the bottom and make sure that your PYCYs are 12, and then go green enter or green soft. So their payment is going to be $533.36. Okay. How much interest will they pay over the life of the loan? Guys, this is a problem that if you get one of these on your final exam, and you will, lick your chops. All we have to do here is take the total amount that we pay the bank, or lending agency, or whatever, whoever is letting us borrow the money. So we made 72 of those payments. Subtract out how much the car, or what the principal was of the loan, $32,000. How much the car was bought for. So the interest was $6401.92. Okay. How much interest will they pay during the first 2 years? And this is a little harder, but it's still doable. We can go to our balance key, and I think it's at number 9 if I remember correctly. It is, and I need to know the first 2 years. So I need the first 2 years, but remember this is in monthly terms. So they have reduced their principal after 2 years down to $22,622, but they have paid $533.36 per month for 24 months. So they have paid $12,800.64. Now you got to think, they started out owing the bank $32,000. After 2 years, they reduced their loan down to $22,622.15. So they have reduced their loan $9377.85. So of that $12,800.64, this money has gone 2 places. It's either reduced principal or it's gone to interest. So if we subtract out of that the part that has reduced the principal, then the remaining part has to be what the interest was paid. So 3422.79. Well, I have no idea why I put 76. 79 is the amount. That's just ugly. I can't stand to look at that. So 3422.79 is the amount of interest they paid in the first 2 years. Guys, let me... I don't know if you guys saw that, but it said that my Mac is about to shut down because it's getting low, so let me plug this in. All right, how much interest will they pay during the last 2 years? Well, the same thing. How much did they pay total? Well, for the last 2 years, it's clear they're going to pay $12,800.64, right? In the final 2 years. How much interest will they pay? Well, let's see how much they reduce the principal. So what we need to do is we need to look at, again, the balance. After, so what do we do here for the last 2 years? So the last 2 years, we need to know what the balance was going into the last 2 years. So that would be what we did for 7 years, no, 6 years. So we need 4 times 12. So that would be the balance after the first 4 years, the 48 months. So yeah, that would tell us what we need. So the balance going into the last 2 years was $12,009.66. Now this is kind of easy because you know that the amount that the loan decreases over the next 2 years is that amount right there because it goes down to 0. So if I can subtract out of that the amount of payments that we made, then I'll know the amount of interest that was. So it would be $790.97. The reason this came out to be negative is the amount that I paid was more than what the balance, the principal went down. So the difference would be the interest. And it makes sense. You know, you're going to pay more interest the first 2 years than you are the second 2 years. So how much interest will they save if they add $100 to each payment? This is something that's really easily worked on spreadsheets, as I pointed out to you in one of the previous videos, but you can also handle it here. So if we go back into our TVM solvers, so let's take let's make this negative 633. So I add the $100. And then go back up and see how much quicker we would have gotten our loan paid off if we had paid the extra $100. So we got 58.7022 months. Now I'm going to go out quite a bit. So the months equals 58.7022. So I can get a really, really good approximation of this. If I paid original, I was going to pay $533. Well, I wasn't. The Malones were. 0.36 times 72. But if I paid $633.36, I was only going to have to pay for 58.7022 months. So the difference has to be the amount of interest that I saved, which is $1,222.29. Now guys, sometimes I see students who will get numbers close, but they'll miss by $300 or $400, and I really don't understand why. Because we shouldn't miss it much. We might miss it by pennies, but Hold on, guys. I got a text that I need to respond to real quickly. It's my wife. She's shopping. She wants to buy me a pair of shoes. All right. Let's go ahead and get this behind us, okay? Complete the amortization schedule for the Malone's car purchase for the first 3 months only. They're going to start out at $32,000. So we need the interest for the first period. And I've said this many, many times before, but remember, their entire loan is compounded. Each particular period is based on simple interest. Hold on, guys. I got... Okay, I don't know what she's doing. Okay, so the interest for the period is going to be the interest rate of 0.0625 or 0.062. Make sure you divide by 12. So the interest for the first period is going to be I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw lines here just to keep things kind of separated. So 165.33. So I'm going to add those for 32,165.33, and then I'm going to subtract my payment. All right, so our ending balance is 31,631.97. So that becomes the beginning balance over here. All right, so now multiply that times the interest. So I have $163.43. Add those. So my balance going in to my second payment is $31,795.40. Subtract my payment. Act like I'm buying this car. This isn't even my payment. I don't even know why that keeps. Maybe it's a Freudian slip. Maybe I want to buy a new car, or maybe I don't. 262.04. So 31,262.04 becomes the beginning balance multiplied by the rate. Don't forget to divide by 12 because it's each month. Add the two. Guys, I promise I won't ask you to do too many months because this gets really boring. Uh, 62. So I get 31,423.56. Subtract your payment. 0.36. So we're down to 30,890.20. Now, if this were my exam, say you get this on your final exam, which it's very possible you will. Hold on, my wife is going to go insane. Sorry, guys. Now, if this were my, if I had this on a exam, I would want to test it out. So I would go back into TVM Solver, and I would set this up to where it sets the original conditions of the problem. And then I would get out of this, and I would then go back into it. Let me clear all this out. To apps, and I would go finance, and I would go number 9, balance, and I would just come in and see if my balance after 3 months matches up with what I said it did. And I was off 1 penny, which I am okay with that because that would have been due to rounding error. All right, number 3 and number 4. These are a little bit more complicated problems, so let's work them. So a couple who just had a baby would like to prepare for their child's college education. They would like to acquire enough money in the next 18 years so their child can withdraw $35,000 at the beginning of his or her freshman year, $35,000 at the beginning of his or her sophomore year, $35,000 at the beginning of his or her junior year, and $35,000 at the beginning of his or her senior year. The couple will begin their savings with a lump sum investment of $12,500. If their investment will earn 3.5% annual interest rate, how much must they invest per month to prepare for their child's education? We'll assume that they will cease monthly payments once their child starts. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to make this larger. If you approach this by taking 35,000 times 4 and doing something with that amount, then you and I are not connecting. That is not the way this problem would work. What we have to do here is we have to kind of start 18 years ahead and say how much will they need to be able to withdraw $35,000 per year for 1, 2, 3, 4 years. So how much will we need to be able to do that? Now, we're taking the money out at the beginning of the term. So we have to keep that in mind. That's something new that we haven't run into. So we're going to make 4 withdrawals at 3.5%. We don't know how much we want or how much we need, but we know we're going to take $35,000 out of that. We're going to do it yearly, and we're going to do it at the beginning of the term. Now, that's something new. We haven't had any of that just yet. But the way this sets up is we're going to make our payments at the end of the month, but we're going to take out the money at the beginning of the year. So we have to put begin there. So we're going to go up here and find out how much money, after it's all said and done, that we need. And we need a lot of money. We need $133,000. And 57 cents. No. What am I talking about? We need $133,057.29. Yeah. Now, the next thing, how do we get there? How are we going to accomplish this? Well, one thing we get is we have a lump sum of $12,500 plus a monthly add-on. So guys, we're going to set up our calculator accordingly. Now, we're going to do this for 18 years. Monthly payments. Guys, I was in the wrong place. 18 times 12. Interest rate of 3.5. We're starting out with a lump sum of $12,500. And we don't know how much we're going to add to that. I'll put a 0 there. But we know we've got to end up with $133,057.29. We're making PYCY is 12, and we're making our payments at the end of the term. So now our payments going to come out negative, but that's just the way the calculator works, which is kind of annoying. But so our payment is going to have to be $521.15 per month. Guys, if you got kids, it's something to be thinking about, because we're living in an era right now where student loan debt, I mean, governments and lending agencies are really taking a strong look at restructuring student loans. So if you just had a child and you really are thinking about your child's college education, 18 years away, I can't sit here and say for sure whatever. I can't make any definitive statement on what student loan model is going to look like in 18 years, but I have a very, very strong feeling it's going to look different than it does today. All right, Steve and Mary would like to, we have good friends who are named Steve and Mary, would like to take a dream vacation for their 20th anniversary. They hope to pay for their vacation by borrowing against the equity in their home. Their bank has agreed to loan them up to 80% of the equity in their home. The purpose of this problem is to determine just how fancy of a trip they can take. They purchased their home 15 years ago, so putting this together, just kind of looking at the profile here, they must have been married 5 years before they purchased their home, which is reasonable. Their home they bought was $250,000. They agreed to amortize their loan at that time by making payments for 30 years at 6.25% annual interest rate. Recent appraisal indicates that the value of their home is $295,000. So we need to focus on the balance 15 years into this loan. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to set up this profile, this payment profile in our calculator. So the loan they took out, the number of years they've been married is irrelevant. The fact they purchased it 15 years ago is irrelevant. They signed a 30-year note, so this is what is relevant. It's 6.25. I'll tell you right now, these people should strongly consider refinancing. Present value was $250,000 at the time. Make sure you get enough zeros there. We don't know what the payment is. We want to be a good creditor, and we want to make sure we're at end because we're ordinary interest. So we go up and we find our payment, even though we really don't need it. The payment is $1,539.29 per month. The only reason we want that is so we can use our calculator to determine their balance after 15 years. So now we're going to go second function quit. I'm going to go back into app, back into finance, hit number 9. And I want to know my balance 15 years later, which is 15 times 12 months. They owe the bank $179,525.54. These people are going to be up for sale around the world. It seems like they're going to have a lot of. Now, the value of their home right now is $295,000. They owe this amount. The equity in their home is 115,474.46. They can borrow 80% of that, up to 80% of that. So I'm going to tell you what, Steve and Mary are in really, really good shape. $92,000, you can, gosh, I think I could move to Mexico the rest of my life for $92,000. You could get a big old fancy trip for that. My lifelong dream is, and Tanya's too, is to, and we hope that we can do this on our 25th anniversary, is go to Tahiti, to Bora Bora, and get one of those overwater bungalows, one of those fancy smancy ones, the really nice ones. And we think that we can do that for 10 days for about $15,000. So, a $92,000 trip, you could sail around the world, and you could do some cool stuff. So they're pretty. These people should be pretty happy. They can afford a trip up to $92,379.57. And you know what? I mean, I can't really imagine a situation where somebody would want to do that. Maybe there's a situation they would, but I don't know. I don't know. You could think of a really crazy situation where both were just diagnosed with some terminal illness, and they don't have any kids. They don't really. They're just like, heck with it. Let's go for it. So I don't know, but that would be a really, really, really fancy vacation. All right, guys. I think that's it. Yeah, it is. Good deal. See ya.